And Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News with me, as always, Kevin Brockway from CNHI. Earlier, Mike, Kevin and I talked about Indy 5. Kevin was there. I was gone this weekend, but 325,000 people. One of the, I don't know, I'd have to look at the list. That's got to be up there in one of the top 5 attendance records of all time of any sporting event in the entire world. And yet, that's not enough for the people of Indianapolis who have supported that race and do support that race to get to watch it. I was able to watch it because I wasn't there. That's not very fun. I don't think that's very fair. I think it's ridiculous. But 325,000 people, what is enough?
You know, Jim, I as I said, I was unaware of the blackout until either Thursday or Friday when the ABC affiliate in Indianapolis, WRTV, did an article online about the fact that it was blacked out and that you could, if you purchased Peacock's service, watch it on Peacock. And to that point had been unaware of it. I'd been assuming all month that I would be able to watch it live based on the fact that we'd watched it live last year, the year before. I understand that it was different circumstances, but I just had no reason to believe, because no one was saying that it was blacked out, that I just assumed that we had moved past that piece of prehistory, right? In 1972, living in Pittsburgh, I did not get to see the Immaculate Reception. And so some of this may still result from the bitterness 50 years later of not getting to see that play live. But it's a ridiculous convention. I mean, I think we're at the point now where we understand that that a live television broadcast has almost no impact on a gate attendance for any sporting event in this country. It just doesn't have an impact. We still have full NFL stadiums in all across the country. On occasion, we don't, because the teams are bad and the fans are mad. But it's not because, oh, goody, we get to watch it on TV. We don't want, if your team is bad and your fans are mad, they don't want to watch it anywhere. So they don't go. And a lot of times those tickets are already sold. It doesn't have an impact. We still have full houses at Allen Fieldhouse and Cameron Indoor Stadium. And you sell more than 100,000 seats for college football games at Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, multiple other schools, selling more than 100,000, even though those are on live television. And we have the IMS still clinging to this antiquated notion that if they allow you to watch it on TV, then you won't come to the track. Now, here's the thing, okay? One, Louisville, they aren't blacked out for the Kentucky Derby. You get to watch that live, and you still have over 200,000 people packing that place, finding every nook and cranny to get in to watch the Kentucky Derby. And that's only a 2-minute race, and they still come. And then you have the circumstance where we had 2 years, one where no one could go and one where the crowd was limited, and the race was broadcast live here. And what was the reaction of the city of Indianapolis to that, the region? What was the reaction? They went out and bought 300-some thousand tickets. At some point, you have to wake up and realize that your concepts, your ideas are antiquated and don't work anymore. And yet they continue to do it. And I honestly don't think they get enough pushback for that. I'm glad you guys complained about it. I haven't seen enough on it. As I said before, I haven't seen enough from the Indianapolis media in terms of complaint about that. The city of Indianapolis, the region of Indianapolis, the Indianapolis region, the 317, supports the Indianapolis 500 in extraordinary fashion. And in response to that, the IMS says, who cares? Too bad for you. If you don't have a ticket in your hand, we don't care about you.
Yeah, I don't understand the fact that Indianapolis, it's an event. And you go there to be a part of the event. You can't see all of the race anyway. You can't see, 80% of the tickets can't see the finish. You're in certain areas. There's like I talked about, the snake pit. They're not there to see the damn race at all. They don't see a single car. And You're there to be a part of the pageantry. You're there to hear the songs at the beginning. Come home, Indiana. You're there for all of that, and they're not there because you can't see it really. It's just being there. It's the fun of being in that environment that you can't get from watching on TV, that you will not get from watching on TV. So to me, anybody that's there is there because they want to be a part of the event, not because they want to be able to watch every bit of the race. You can't see it. They're going to go home and watch it maybe, but they're not there to watch the race. They're there to be a part of the event, in my opinion.
Jim, let me ask you this question, Jim. Is the Kentucky Derby blacked out in Louisville?
No, as Mike just said, absolutely not. Never has been, never will be. It is always, and there have been years where, for whatever reason, the crowds dipped or whatever. Does not affect it. It's on live every race all day. As a matter of fact, it's carried by a local news station or a local network affiliate up until a certain, or it used to be carried by a local affiliate up until a certain point, and they would take over for Derby. I think now NBC has the contract and they have it for most of the day, but the local affiliate is still involved. So no, and it's done from the inside out, basically. It's a complete opposite take as Indianapolis has.
Let me make this clear. This is not about me, okay? When I started complaining about it on Twitter Thursday or Friday, I had people come back at me, oh, just pay your $4.95 and you can watch the race. And it's not about that. First of all, I'm already a subscriber to Peacock because they carry Premier League games that I can't get all the time. I can't always see Liverpool on USA or whatever. Sometimes they're just put on Peacock. So I'm paying the $4.95 a month already. So I had access to the race. So it's not about me. It's about the people who can't afford Peacock or don't know about it. Who maybe only have the over-the-air channels on their antenna. It's about what's right relative to the community that puts so much into the Indianapolis 500 and shouldn't be affronted in that way. It's certainly not about me. Like I said, I had access to the race on Sunday if I wanted it because I had Peacock, and you shouldn't be required if you live here to have to sign up for it. And here's the other thing. IMS fought against that. They didn't want Peacock to be able to show it here. Peacock said they couldn't. Didn't have the technology to black out a certain portion of the country.
Oh, now that really angers me then that they fought to not even allow people to purchase because they're not getting a piece of that $4.99.
They're getting whatever their contract says, but it doesn't go up if let's say if 10,000 people decided to pay the $4.95 for this month. I don't think their payment goes up for that, but it's why it's wrong. It's about what's right and wrong for the sports fans of a particular community that put a lot into IMS and into this race, this event that's a point of civic pride. It should be something that to which the entire community is invited in instead of, oh no, you don't have a ticket, so we don't care about you.
Yeah, I think the Indianapolis media is going to it's going to take the Indianapolis media to put that pressure on. I'm no one. I can't, nothing I say matters, but the WTHR, for one, whoever is the network carrying it, they did They did a nice fluff piece I saw on Twitter, and I'm like, yeah, did you ask him about his ignorance, arrogance, and whatever of blacking out the race? Nice little fluff piece, but no one asking that question. And I don't understand that because to me, it is the most obvious question. That's being greedy. I mean, I know he's a great businessman and maybe, I don't want to say he saved the track, but he's, building it up better than ever. But I think you could do both at the same time and not piss off the community along the way.
Yeah, I look at the history of that race and it's always been pretty strong. And I understand that there were periods when it dipped, but it wasn't affected by the blackout. you know, the dip periods, it was still blacked out, and it still dipped because the series lost its way. You know, that whole split between card and all that. You know, that the series lost its way for a long period of time, but now it's back. It's got some momentum, and so it's not going to be affected by that. I just think they can do better, and I think Mr. Penske is the owner now. I would think that someone, you know, a new owner should have new ideas, and that should be number one on the list.
The people that come here too, there are, whether they are Indiana Hoosiers or from wherever, as Ross points out, he was there and said the couple next to me has been coming for 20 years from Washington State. People, do you have any idea how far that is away? I know that you guys do, but I'm like, listeners, get your map out. That's on the far northwest part of this United States. I can tell you how far it was. That was my last TV job, so I can tell you exactly how far it is away. I felt like I was on another country, in another country then. But that's these people. This has been, it's generational. I know that if I have friends, it's been generational, grandfathers, and this goes to the next. It's a family thing, and a ton of Indiana families, but obviously for those not even in Indiana. So, are there any other, I know this used to be a common thing with, well, if it doesn't sell out, we're going to black it out. Does this happen anywhere else anymore? I mean, has this pretty much been eliminated? The NCAA stuff is eliminated because of the tournament. They get the money, the finals, none of that used to happen, but it doesn't anymore to my knowledge. I can't think of anything else.
The only somewhat similar thing is Major League blackout rules relative to their extra innings package. Like, I saw a complaint last night from an old college friend who wanted to watch the Dodgers play the Pirates last night, but it was blacked out because MLB has decided that the Padres are the local team for Las Vegas and not the Dodgers. Now, don't ask me to explain that, but that's how they've done it. So their blackout rules are ridiculous. But like, if you're in LA and the Dodgers are on, they're on TV. If the Dodgers are playing and they're at Dodger Stadium and you live in Santa Monica, it's not blacked out. Whether it's a third full or standing room only, the game's on TV. And that's the way it is in every sport now in America, really. There are very few blackouts like this. It just doesn't happen any longer.
I'm surprised the Hallmans actually started this. Chris says you can't blame Penske. This is the way it's always was. Well, yes, you can. He's the owner. He makes the call.
He can change it today.
That's exactly who you blame. He is the guy who makes that call. So, but it's
also not the way it always was, Jim. Let me point this out. It for a long time, and when I covered auto racing in the late '80s, it was blacked out everywhere, essentially. And it was tape delayed to prime time and broadcast at 8 o'clock or whatever, prime time. And so it wasn't always this way. Eventually, they decided to make it like every other sporting event and carry it live because maybe it just wasn't enough to carry a tape delayed broadcast anymore. So NBC has it live all across the country. So it should be live here, just the same. And if THR wants to then broadcast it again in prime time because they think it's good for their ratings, go for it. But it should be live here in the Indianapolis area. It's just that's just that idea is an idea that turned to be antiquated 50 years ago. After the Immaculate Reception, I think it was the following year that the NFL said, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. Now, if you sell it out, you can have it on. And then ultimately, we're to the point now where there's essentially no NFL blackouts anymore.